Have you ever been sitting around watching an MLB game and go, hey, remember so-and-so? Whatever happened to them? They were lights out that one year, just to find out they had never had another season like that ever again, and in some cases, were out of the league entirely. I've always been fascinated with this phenomenon, so in today's video, we're going to take a look at 3 players that had a breakout season and never did it again. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Aaron Loup is a name that you probably don't remember, but for one season in 2021, he was maybe the best lefty reliever in all of baseball. Let's take a closer look on how he got to the big leagues and how he was able to succeed in 2021 and how he was never able to do it again. Aaron Loup was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays in the 9th round in 2009 out of Tulane University. He would work his way through the minors and eventually be given a chance to make his big league debut on July 14th, 2012. Loup, who was a lefty reliever, threw 2 pitches, the sinker and a slider. He was effective in his time with the Blue Jays in 2012 and remained there until 2018 when he was traded to the Phillies after declining each season since his debut. In 2017, he dropped the slider and instead developed a cutter. He was still mainly throwing the sinker, but he was also mixing in the changeup as well. In 2018, he mixed in a curveball to have a well-rounded 4-pitch mix. This was his pitch mix going forward. As the years would go on, he would mix in the cutter more and more, and it would be a very effective pitch for him. He finished 2018 in Philly throwing only 4 total innings and letting up 2 earned runs. In 2019, he signed a 1-year deal with the San Diego Padres with a team option for a 2nd year. Unfortunately for Loup, he suffered an elbow injury and only appeared in 4 games. His team option was not picked up for the 2020 season, and he was a free agent yet again. In 2020, all he could get was a minor league deal with the Rays. He was promoted to the 40-man roster in July and went on to make 24 appearances for the Rays. Loup was effective in his short stint in Tampa Bay. He only allowed 7 earned runs and his strikeout rate was up to 8.0. In the 2021 offseason, he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal with the New York Mets. This would be the season that Loup had his breakout. In 2021, Loup's record was 6-0 with a stat line of 0.95 ERA, 56.2 innings pitched, 6 earned runs to only 16 walks, a .925 whip, and a ridiculous 422 ERA plus. To put that in perspective, he had never had an ERA plus over 165 in a season before. He was almost 4 times as effective in 2021 as his next best season. His 422 ERA plus was the highest of any reliever who threw over 40 innings. Loup would finish the season with the Mets and then hit the free agent market yet again, this time striking a deal with the Los Angeles Angels for 2 years and $17 million. In 2022, his first year with the Angels, all of his stats shot up across the board. He posted an 0-5 record, 3.84 ERA, 58.2 innings pitched, 25 earned runs, a whip of 1.295, and an ERA plus of only 105. A huge step down from his previous season. 2023 hit and his stats only went lower. After that season, the Angels had seen enough, and he had never appeared in an MLB game ever since. Loup went from one of the most dominant relievers in baseball to out of the league in just 2 short years. Every single one of Loup's pitches decreased in horizontal break and vertical break from 2021. In fact, he had never achieved a level of movement with his pitches in any other year of his career. So why was he only able to pitch this well in one season? I bet even Aaron Loup would love to know the answer to that. In an article going into the 2023 season, he stated that he needed to use his fastball more and just make better pitches. That's a line you could hear from any pitcher in the league each offseason. So one could say that Loup himself could not explain why he was so good in 2021, and that is why he never would pitch in the MLB ever again. Another name you might have heard of is Brian LaHair. He played a short 3-year career in the MLB and was named to the All-Star team in 2012, which improbably was also his last season in the MLB. So let's start at the beginning and see how LaHair got there in the first place. Brian LaHair was drafted by the Seattle Mariners in the 39th round of the 2002 MLB draft. Brian, who was not a top prospect by any means, started his journey to the pros in low A ball in 2003. He showed a lot of power in his bat, which helped him progress through the minor leagues. In 2005, he swatted 22 home runs and 113 RBIs in single A. In the 2006 season, he jumped up all the way to AAA, but would find himself there for 3 seasons. He posted average numbers there and was still showing some power in his bat. However, none of his stats were jumping off the page in a way that was forcing the Mariners to call him up. That was until July 22, 2008, when the Mariners decided to call him up and see what they had in their 39th round draft pick. He appeared in 45 games the rest of that season and posted a slash line of 250, 315, 346. He only managed to hit 3 home runs and drive in 10 RBIs. He was also a liability in the field, posting a -3 defensive runs saved. He returned to AAA for the 2009 season, but all in all, the Mariners had decided they had seen enough and released LaHair after the season's end. This was not the end for LaHair, as the Cubs signed him to a minor league deal before the start of the 2010 season. He would spend all of 2010 in AAA, where he hit 25 home runs and had 81 RBIs. In 2011, he spent majority of the season in AAA, where he absolutely raked before being called back to the big leagues as a September call-up. In AAA that season, he had a whopping 38 bombs and drove in 109 runs. In his short 20-game stint, he managed to hit 2 home runs, and things were looking bright for him entering the 2012 season. In 2012, he broke camp with the big league squad for the first and last time in his career. He played in 130 games for the Cubs that season and hit 16 home runs and had 40 RBIs. Not an overall amazing season, but he had a blazing first half start, and this led him to being named to the All-Star team. He went from riding the bus in the minors for years to sharing a locker room with guys like Chipper Jones, Carlos Beltran, and David Wright, just to name a few. It was a true dream come true for Brian, but that dream would not last long, as his position on the team would be up for grabs after the season, due to the Cubs having a top prospect in the name of Anthony Rizzo. Once Rizzo was called up in June that season, LaHair's playing time was severely cut down. He was mainly used as a pinch hitter and only was able to start 3 more games in the final 80. As quick as his fame came, it seemed to disappear just as fast. But LaHair had one last moment left in him. In his last season, in the last game, LaHair found himself at the plate with the bases loaded. LaHair had homered earlier in that game and was now in a position to win it for the Cubs. Approaching the plate, LaHair had a feeling this could be his last ever at-bat in the major leagues, so he wanted to make it count. LaHair turned on a fastball by Houston Astros Hector Ambriz and deposited a walk-off single into right field. This was indeed his last at-bat in his short major league career, and what a fitting end it was. The Cubs released LaHair in November that year. He tried to catch on with a few clubs after that by signing minor league deals, and even tried to play overseas in Japan, but it just wasn't meant to be, and he retired from professional baseball in 2017. When I say the name Armando Galarraga, everyone will think of the quote-unquote perfect game he had that was tarnished by the hands of Jim Joyce. Well, that might be his most memorable moment. His best season was his rookie campaign in 2008. From there, it was a steady decline until he exited the league just 6 seasons later. Galarraga was born in Venezuela and was signed on as an international free agent by the Montreal Expos in 1998. He would play in rookie ball for 3 seasons, eventually work his way up to low A in 2005. He would pitch for Washington's high A and AA squads in 2008, having pretty good success and carrying a 3.80 ERA that year between both levels. He was then promptly traded to the Texas Rangers in a package deal with Termel Sledge and Brad Wilkerson for big-name player Alfonso Soriano at the end of the 2005 season. In 2006 and 2007, he would pitch for the Rangers minor league system, eventually working his way up to AAA. Galarraga was never more than an average pitcher in the minors, as he pitched to a 4.14 ERA in 2007, but it was enough to earn him the call-up to the big leagues. He made his debut on September 15, 2007, where he threw 1 scoreless inning. He would appear 1 more time in relief and then be given 1 game as a starter. He only lasted 4.2 innings while giving up 5 earned runs and walking 4 batters. This less than stellar start had the Rangers trade him to the Detroit Tigers for Mike Hernandez in a minor league deal. He started in AAA in 2008, but after 2 really solid outings, the Tigers decided to add him to their rotation. Galarraga was fantastic that season, making 28 starts and pitching to a record of 13-7 for the last place Tigers. His stat line for that year was 3.73 ERA, 178.2 innings pitched, 119 ERA+, 1.12 WHIP, and a 6.3 strikeouts per 9. This impressive season earned him 4th place in AL Rookie of the Year race, finishing behind names like Evan Longoria and Jacoby Ellsbury. The Tigers were happy with their newfound rookie pitcher, and he was placed in the starting rotation for the 2009 season. Unfortunately for Galarraga, that season did not go as planned. He made 25 starts and pitched to a record of 6-10. His ERA skyrocketed to 5.64 and his WHIP to 1.5. While his ERA plus dipped down to 80, which is 20 points lower than the league average of 100. This leaves his rookie season as 2008 as the only season he would achieve an ERA plus higher than 100. 2010 would have him start the season in AAA before making his first start of the season on May 26th. He would make another 25 starts this season, but yet again, not to much success. His ERA was still close to 5, and his ERA plus was well under 100. To make matters worse, this was the season he carried a perfect game into the 9th inning just to have Jim Joyce take it away on an infield single by Jason Donald. This game has forever been dubbed the imperfect game. He would finish that season in Detroit, but they had seen enough and traded him in the offseason to the Diamondbacks for a pair of minor leaguers. He would make 8 starts for the Snakes in 2011 and pitch to an abysmal 5.91 ERA. After that season, they granted him his free agency. He signed on with the Orioles in 2012, but was cut before the season started. The Astros then picked him up in May of 2012. He made 5 starts, got bombed once again, and was cut in August. That was the last time he would appear in the majors for the rest of his career. He signed on with a few teams after that, where he played in the minors, but would call it a career in 2014. After his great rookie campaign in 2008, he would find himself out of the league just 4 seasons later. There is no doubt that these 3 players are not the only players to have seasons that went this way. That's just the way of the big leagues. Sometimes you have a magical season and no one can really explain as to why. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, and if you have any players you want featured on this topic, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more baseball stories.